Welcome back to High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Stephanie.
And so we are heading into Memorial Day weekend. And if you're doing the gathering thing this weekend, like the family thing or the cookout or catching up with people that you haven't seen in a while, I want you to pay attention to something. At some point, someone is going to ask you how things are going with the job, with the relationship, the thing you've been building, whatever it is. And you're going to answer. And if you're really listening while you answer, you might hear something in your own voice that you haven't noticed before. And it might sound a little different than it does when you're listening to it in your own head.
It's that gap, right? Between the version that you've been telling yourself and the version that lands when you actually say something out loud to someone who has zero investment in it. And that is what today is all about.
Yeah, what everyone else could already see. That's
Yeah.
what's coming up this week.
Oh man, huge. And something came up for me this week that I have to share because I it's sitting right on top of this conversation,
All
right?
right, tell me about it.
All right. So someone in our world, someone that I respect a lot, recently stepped away from a situation that she'd been in for years. Professional situation, um, a lot of identity tied up in it, right? And I think we all do that. We tie up our identity, our profession,
Oh, for absolute, for real. Yeah.
right? Whether it's your profession, mom, friend, wife, husband, all those things are become tied up into something. It becomes part of an identity. And I asked her how she was doing with the transition. And she said something that it honestly kind of stopped me cold. She said, I don't know if I'm more relieved or embarrassed because
Hmm.
the minute I got out, I could see so clearly. And I realized everyone around me could probably see it the whole time, and I was the only one that couldn't.
The embarrassed part, that is interesting.
And that's what got me too. Because you expect the relief. It wasn't the relief that it was the embarrassment.
Hmm.
Because the relief makes sense, but the embarrassment tells you something about the size of that gap, right? Between what the situation looked like to the people on the outside and what it looked like to her from the inside. And she wasn't in denial about anything. She wasn't unaware. She was just too close to see it.
And though they're not the same thing, that's actually a really important distinction. You can be thoughtful and self-aware and paying attention and still not be able to see clearly because of how much you're inside of something.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's almost structural because you're that invested emotionally in terms of your identity, in terms of what you've built, right? That's what makes it structural. It changes what you're able to see. It's not a character flaw by any means of who we
Mhm.
are. It's just what proximity does.
Yeah, and I think most people are going to hear this and immediately think of something because this is one of the most common human experiences that I believe that there is.
Completely agree. Yes.
Yeah, we just don't have great language for it. So it's like the relationship where looking back now, you see things differently and they were completely obvious.
Yeah. Yes.
And you know that the people around you saw them too. At the time, everything they said felt like they just didn't understand or they couldn't see what you saw in this person or in this situation. And now you're on the other side of it and you're like, oh, they could see the whole thing. I could only see my piece in it.
Yes. Oh my God. Or it's the job,
Mhm.
the project you were so inside for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, that you genuinely couldn't get perspective on it at all. And it wasn't until someone outside of that situation, of that project, gave you completely unfiltered feedback, or you had an opportunity to step away from it, that you could see what was actually working and what was not working.
That is such an interesting example because that totally happened to me this week. A project that I've been inside of for a couple years, and I got a different perspective on it this week.
Isn't
But
that
I mean,
crazy? Of course. Of
yeah,
course.
right. Of course,
Yeah.
that's how it's going to work.
Yes. Stars are aligned.
Right, right. And there's a very specific version of this I think is really common and really uncomfortable. You describe your situation to someone new, like a new friend or someone you've just met or a therapist you've just started seeing. someone with no history and you watch their face while you're talking. And somewhere in the middle of you explaining the situation to them, you realize that this sounds very different out loud than it did in your own head.
I love that. And you can feel it. You know
Oh,
it, right? This new person has zero investment, no reason to see it the way you've been seeing it. So they're seeing what's actually there. And that is both incredibly useful, but it's a lot destabilizing.
because if they can actually see it clearly that fast, how long has it been obvious?
Oh my God. And this pattern is freaking everywhere once you start recognizing it. And it's showing up in specific ways culturally right now for us as well. There's something that almost everyone who has ever left a high investment job talks about, especially someone who left a startup or a company that they really believed in, somewhere they loved. That
Mhm.
first week out, when the performance of being inside the culture of that company, that place drops away, they become visible that they were genuinely invisible from the inside.
Ugh.
Dynamics, right? It's deep, but it's an invisible a visibility type thing to it. And
Well, and something that you're experiencing on such a real level.
truly, truly, you think you're so much more important or so much more needed or so much more, whatever than you are. Life just cruises right along. And the perspective of getting out of something, I mean, I don't want to side rail this a whole lot, but for me, being able to look at everything from the shift I am now, I would love to go back to my whole team and say, chill out, chill out. You
It's
know,
not, it's
it
not
all,
that deep.
no, it all looks so absolutely irrelevant and so less stressful when you're out of it, when you're away from it. Like, wow, did we make a big old stink about this, and this? And, you know,
Right.
it's,
So that's true of everybody's, like, that is across the board
yeah,
perspective, all of it.
it's perspective and it's dynamics. Everyone outside of the building can see it. They're like, why are you
Mm.
so stressed? Assumptions that the whole team, and we all share them because we're all close and, but we're all close to each other. And so when you leave that environment, almost universally, the same thing is going to happen. The clarity just hits you. And it's disorienting to say the least because of how obvious everything just suddenly appears. And it does. I mean, you could go through my journal. God,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And you could see it broad. Yeah, the how did I not see that
Yes.
question?
Oh my God.
And
Yes.
honestly, I think most people have had that moment at least once where the clarity hits and you almost feel embarrassed by how fast it becomes obvious.
Right? How did I not see it? How did I not see that? And the honest answer is you were on top of it. You're right on. You're so close to it. You had way too much invested in that. And it's not because you're not smart. It's because proximity just does that to us. It does it to everyone. It narrows our field of vision so much around the things we've chosen to focus on.
And Memorial Day weekend specifically is interesting as a container for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stepping away from your normal context, even for just a few days, going somewhere different or being around people who knew you maybe before this chapter, creates just enough distance that things can look slightly different. And people go home for the holiday and suddenly see a family dynamic with fresh eyes. Or they're talking to an old friend and they hear themselves describe their lives and realize that description doesn't really quite fit anymore.
Yeah. It's just that slight step back.
Hmm.
And that's what this weekend can offer for everybody if you're paying attention. So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the sky because
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, I think it's a why this particular experience is so active for us right now. This week's going to open with, and this is for our coming week of astrology, right? So, starting the 25th, but the
Yeah.
week's going to open with that significant clash for us between Mars and Pluto on Monday night. So, without getting too techy about it, what that combination produces for us is pressure. So, things that have been holding in place, maybe uncomfortably in place, are going to hit a point where staying in that close up view isn't possible anymore. Something has to shift. Then, midweek, the energy moves through Scorpio, which is the part of the sky that goes underneath our surface, right? It's not that managed version. It's not the presentation. It's what's actually underneath. And it's
Mm,
harder to stay comfortable with a partial picture when this energy is so active.
that
And
makes sense.
Thursday, I know, right? And there's
Hmm.
more. Thursday brings a significant angle between Venus and Saturn. So Venus in Cancer is emotional investment. So the things we've nurtured, that we built with care, that we poured ourselves into. Saturn is our reality structure, the test of whether something is actually holding up. This combination is asking us all a direct question this week, and that's what have you been building as solid as it's felt from the inside? Which I think is a really, really good question to take into this whole weekend and you evaluate as you move into the week ahead.
Right. If like get a perspective on this, that's super powerful for sure.
Yeah. Because if you don't feel as solid about something on the inside, especially as you're having these conversations with other people, it's really a good time to reevaluate.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we have the full moon in Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius is our sign of like that wide angle view. I mean, the archer steps back, sees the whole target before they let go, before they release. And that full moon is always a culmination point. So what's been building reaches that peak and becomes visible. So in Sagittarius, that culmination is going to be perspective in showing you the whole picture and not just your piece of it, right? And remembering that that's also a fiery energy to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the week is building toward that wider view, whether you want it to or not.
Yes, ma'am, whether you want it or not. Which is why this week it's worth getting ahead of it, investing in that perspective now rather than waiting for it to arrive kind of sideways and knock you off your feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about a specific experience that I think a lot of people will recognize. The moment when someone who loves you says something accurate about your situation that you haven't been able to see yourself. So I know we've been kind of leading to that, but like let's take it from that angle. And the first feeling for this isn't gratitude, it's something more defensive or destabilizing. Because if they're right, it means you were missing something that was visible. So that's kind of like the next step in the things we've been talking about is when someone does see it outside of you, especially someone you love and trust.
Man.
I think that reaction is everybody has been through it. I think everybody here kind of feels that.
Yes, for sure. And it's uncomfortable. I mean,
Mhm.
even when, well, especially honestly, when what they're seeing is actually helpful to you, right? Is genuinely helpful.
Right. And there's a conversation I keep coming back to. Like someone I trust said something to me about a situation I was in that was so clearly true and so clearly something I had not let myself see that my first response was to explain why they didn't have the full picture. Like I have more context. I was closer to it. They were working with incomplete information.
Uh-huh. And what'd they say?
They said very quietly, I know you can see more of it than I can, but I can see all of it. And that
Oh,
just landed because it was
ouch.
true. Right. I had more information. I had more detail. I had more context, more history, like the whole thing. And they had the view.
Yep.
And those are two completely different things.
Yeah, because more info does not always mean more clarity. Sometimes more info just means more material to rationalize. Um, it just means more, right? More ways to explain away the things that don't fit the story that you want to be true.
And the person on the outside doesn't have to have your rationalizations. They don't have your investment in that particular outcome. They're not protecting anything. So they see what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't be angry at them. You know what? It makes me think of a story. And back, and you'll remember the boy I was dating at the time.
Mm,
And I had a conversation with mom at the top of the stairs. And it was about wherever we were, and I didn't want to break up and didn't whatever. And I mean, I didn't see, I was looking at it from my side. And she gave me some
right.
advice. And could I tell you what it is now? No, not at this moment. That's been multiple decades ago. but it was the end. I heard it and went, oh, and that was it.
And
I ended
that
it.
is exactly this moment.
Yeah.
The someone you love and trust, and they give you a
Yes.
perspective that you couldn't see for yourself.
Yes, and that I was avoiding and that they had held on to as long as they were going to, but I had given them an opening. So by giving them that opening, they took it. I mean, she jumped on it and was like, "Oh God, finally she's going to ask. Here we go, Now I
I
get
know
to
this boy you speak of.
Oh yeah, I know you do. I know you do." And they were
I remember.
delighted. They were so happy. But they're not telling you something you don't know. They're telling you something you just won't acknowledge. They're telling you you just won't let yourself see it. And and there's a difference there. And it was so powerful for me. It was just,
You know what? I just, for a second, want to honor our parents for being so patient and allowing things to unfold in our lives that were painful and
oh my God.
miserable for them and the crap that we put them through, but
Oh God.
they never jumped in and saved us.
Nope.
They waited for that moment to be like, "Hey, I really need your input on." And they'd be like, "All right, let's talk."
Right. Woohoo! Thank God. And actually, I had to go through it again.
Oh, well,
You know,
lessons learned
that
twice.
one though was a divorce. So, but they were, yeah. Anyway, let's just say I'm to the point now where with my current partner, I took him home right away. You like him?
All right, just give it to me up front. How's this look
Let's
from
just
the
have this because yeah.
30,000 foot view? Is this good? All right,
Wisdom comes
go.
with wisdom with age, right? But yes, I it's just not allowing yourself to see that. And
Yeah.
it's so powerful when you're willing. You have to be willing to have the conversations. That's the thing. If you're just being stubborn and you're going to be obstinate, and that is this week is going to scream at you that you have to get perspective. So just ask the questions. Just go for it because they're going to get slammed at you anyway. You might as well like not get knocked off your feet and have the good feedback and roll with it. So,
Well, and I think we're coming towards a full moon anyway, so we're coming into a release. Now is a really good time for all of those things that you're chasing, for all of the things you're manifesting or your intentions or whatever. Maybe you have been so hardcore focused on that outcome that you're not seeing the forest through the trees anymore.
oh,
So that's just a really good time, just astrologically, like Steph was just talking about, to back up and take that 30,000 foot view again and be like, should I release this maybe in this coming full moon that has, did you say it was fire energy? Burn it up,
yeah,
maybe?
yep, because it's Sagittarius. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yep, yep. And then
yeah,
let's talk about because we have our soul pillars, right? So let's talk about where it actually lives there. Because we always do. We love our
yeah.
soul pillars. They're free. They're awesome tools and they relate to every single thing you do in your life. There is a way to incorporate to find that harmony and that balance. But proximity and that blindness touches us in four distinct ways. I mean, so it's really going to hit all of these. So I'm going to hit mind because there's a real cognitive mechanism here. When we're heavily invested into something, the mind has enormous incentive to see it in the best possible light.
Mm.
Not conscious, it's just the way attention works. You're focused toward the information that confirms what you need to be true and naturally discount just what doesn't fit. And the more invested you are, definitely the more selective your attention becomes, which is exactly why people around you who don't share in that same investment, that same thing that you are just so invested in, often have cleaner sight lines because they're just not running that filter. Hey there. Every week, Natalie and I talk about our soul pillars on our High Heels to Happy Feels episodes. I would highly encourage you head to immersivespirit.com/soul pillars and check out these free tools. There's different things you can download to learn more about interacting with your body, heart, mind, and spirit, and how easy it is to develop your intuition, even at a much higher level with these free tools. We've loved creating them. We really hope you'll take advantage of them. They are free. Immersivespirit.com/soul pillars. And now Back to high heels to happy feels.
That is super powerful for the mind. All right. So in the heart, the emotional investment is actually what makes the proximity possible in the first place. So you get close to things because you love them and because you chose them and showed up for them and cared. And that's not a flaw. That's just what's real. And that's what a real investment looks like. But the heart also has a tendency to protect what it loves. And sometimes you end up protecting the version of the situation you need to believe in, even after you already know that it's changing.
Oh,
And so I'm just going to jump directly into the body too, because there's a very specific physical experience of a perspective shift. When the wider view finally arrives, like when something clicks into place that you couldn't see before, there's often like a physical sensation with it, like a kind of dropping or something releasing in your chest or alert. Your body registers this shift before your mind has fully caught up to what's happening. Even a perspective shift that gives you a little truth and makes your life a little bit lighter.
God, those are good. So true.
Yeah.
And then in the spirit, what the wider view ultimately offers for this is movement. It's not just the freedom of knowing, but the freedom to actually move again. Because proximity blindness keeps you locked into a particular stance, always defending, always rationalizing, always managing the story from the inside, from where you are. And that wider view doesn't mean you have to do anything dramatic. It just means you can finally see what you're actually working with. And from that place, then you can start to make real choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soul pillars are so like they're always so
So
relevant, folks. If you
freaking
haven't
awesome. Yes.
like just need like each week, like the soul pillars are the soul pillars, the way we wrote them, the tool that we work with, it's still super powerful. But each week we really can find the different perspectives you can take. And I mean, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, the tool doesn't change. The
Right.
tool is the same. So you can download it and have it. And then as this comes up for you each week, you can be like, all right, yep,
Yeah. I
tracking.
see. I see this perspective. I'm going
Yeah,
to do this.
down those
Yeah.
plots and you've got them. Yes. All right. I
All
digress.
right. So before we end today, though, think about a situation that came up for you while we were talking, because I know it did. It's that one that kept circling back in your mind. And whatever came up, describe it as if it's happening to someone you love,
Ooh,
not you.
that's good.
Yeah. So, like someone you care about and you really truly want good things for them. And describe it with the same details and the same context, but from the outside. And then give that person the honest advice, the advice you would give if you weren't personally wrapped up in how it turns out. No skin in the game, just someone who loves them and can see the whole thing. And when you're doing this, listen carefully to what you say, because what you tell that person is probably the clearest thing you've said about your own situation in quite a while. And the gap between the advice you'd give them and what you've actually been doing is that gap of proximity. That gap is what everyone else has probably been able to see.
Oh, so good. And you
I
know,
think it's, yeah, like that, just like we said, perspective.
perspective, and you don't have to do anything with it today. The step back isn't a call to action, right? This is a call to honest seeing. So let the wider view arrive first. Those choices that you make with the information that you have can come later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if something real came up for you today, share this episode with someone who might need to look at that wider view right now, too. And tag us at Immersive Spirit. We genuinely love to hear what surfaced.
Oh, for sure. Please, please, please. Because it's so powerful. And we've got, a plethora of examples. It's so easy to just go, oh, look, I was
Right.
this age and over here, and we did this. And, think about when you asked a friend something and did you like their feedback? All of it. But all the frameworks we work with, because the soul pillars for sure, which are free, they all fall on these tools that we work with each week. And these are at immersivspirit.com/soul pillars. But immersivespirit.com is going to just get you to where you need to go. And if you want to be in the room where these conversations keep going past the episode, join us in the town square. Immersive-spirit.com. I mean, you'll find that. Just go to immersivespirit.com. All of our links are there. Everything is out there. You can get to the soul pillars. You can get to our community. You can get to the prompts. You can get to all the different things that we do. But that's our home. Everything plants and blooms from there. Yeah. And I think, right?
Yep. I think that covers all of our stuff. But so just like one more thing before you go, like
Okay.
getting this wider view, folks, doesn't mean that you were wrong or that you were too close. You were close because you cared. And like it's not a mistake. That's how we run our lives. It's not a mistake to get close and to get serious and to get focused on the things that we want. But it is good to get that perspective and take a step back.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
never bad to be fully invested in something, but it is bad if you're not going to take advice and not have perspective on that thing as you're fully invested in it, right? And this view from here doesn't erase it. It just gives you some more to work with as you go into the week ahead.
Yes.
So,
So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean like I shouldn't have rewrapped it. Yeah, go find us on immersivespirit.com.
all good. Immersivespirit.com. Find us there. Have a glorious Memorial Day weekend. Honor the reason that we celebrate this weekend, right? And thinking about um, the veterans that came before and what they did and provided for our country in the United States. So it may be chaotic and crazy right now, but take time and honor those that have served. They gave us what we're here for. So until next week, I'm Stephanie
And I'm Natalie.
from Immersive Spirit and High Heels to Happy Feels. Have an amazing long weekend if you have a long weekend, Memorial Day, and we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.